This is the Sim Pit. I'm your host, Sean Cole, and welcome to today's edition of the Pit Stop, where you guys, the pit crew, my good sim racing friends, are the real star of today's show. We are here to talk about sim racing and see what's going on over the last 24 hours, because we do this show daily, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. But here we are. What's going on in sim racing? Kind of a different intro for you guys today. I had to do something a little different. I don't know why, but I did. So what is going on today in sim racing? How are all you guys doing? You guys having some good races out there? You guys excited about F1 2018 coming out tomorrow? Are you guys excited about the other titles? I mean, we have like title after title after title over the next 4 weeks. Does that pump you up? Does that get you motivated to do some sim racing? So, look into Project Cars. Really, is Project Cars the only sim I can think of that's not turning heads at Gamescom? Anyway, this week they have an insider guide. I'm going to always push you to these. Yorkie 65 wades into the dirty air to explain the invisible mysteries of airflow and how it can both end your race and also help you win. And you'll find that at the Project Cars Twitter feed with the whole article linked to it. A little video. Episode 36. This is the 36th Yorkie guide. And, you know, the one thing I say about any guide, and I don't care if it comes from Yorkie or from me or from Nicky Tim or wherever, tips always work on every type of car and every type of sim. I mean, the principles of what we're doing is the same regardless of the sim you drive. So even though this is more tuned towards Project Cars, the tips and tricks you learn are going to apply to your favorite sim, whatever it be. Gamescom! More pictures just out of the F1 2018 camp. We saw some from yesterday. Just more of that. The Lee Mather talking to the Lee Mather talking to the media. Another shot of the crowd here. Lots of people. The queue is very filled. What else? Brandon Lay put out a video showing off 2018, taking a lap of Silverstone in the Mercedes AMG. So again, I love when we get a chance to see, you know, you think of the top guys, and you know, you really have to think of these guys in terms of this is the sport we play. You know, I'd love to be a real Formula One driver, but to be honest with you, I'm not. I don't know if you knew that. I'm not. And I doubt I'll ever get a chance. Well, there's a slight chance I could drive an F1 car one day. But I doubt I'll really get to drive an F1 car. And so my heroes are the hobby and sport that I do, being sim racing. And when I get a chance to see Brendan take a lap, I mean, this is how it's done. If you're wondering, hey, why am I not fast at Silverstone? Well, do you drive like this? Do you put it on the edge like that and just throw it into the corner like that at blazing speed? Anyway, good opportunity to see it, how it's done in F1 2018 with it coming out just tomorrow, by the way. A little update to Raceroom. So they had the WTCR class come out with the 7 cars, and it's been out, and now they did a small update, which the main part of the update was actually a little balance of power or performance. Is it balance of performance? I always call it power, assuming it's mostly where are my videos, Sean? What do you mean, Doug? Did I miss something? Where are my videos for F1 2018? Is that what you're asking? That's a good question. I've been trying to catch up on other things to get the Sim Pit channel back in action. Anyway, it's a very small update. It's only 235 megabytes, but its main focus being a balance of performance adjustment to the new cars. That being the Alfa Romeo, the Audi RS, the Cupra TCR, the Honda Civic, the Hyundai i30, Peugeot 308, and the Volkswagen Golf GTI. Tom Jones has to adjust the balance of power with his wife today. That's pretty funny, Tom. A little bit of change to some artwork and some sounds and other things. So get that for your version of Raceroom. iRacing talking about the Ignite series. This is that series built for the 13 to 16-year-old sim racers. This is sort of that scholarship program. So the winner of the series is going to get $10,000 racing scholarship. Round 1 kicked off yesterday, and that was over at iRacing.com live, and you can watch the replay over there. and find out how the kids, it looks like Garrett Lowe was the winner of the race, and there we have a shot of him in the Legends, and congratulations to him. And that was at New Smyrna Raceway that they ran that race. But pretty cool that iRacing, I mean, if you think about it and you think all the esport going on, all the money going everywhere, but it is really cool to see iRacing and NASCAR looking to the future and making something really built for the younger people, instead of having to contend with guys who maybe have been doing this 10, 15, 20 years. You know, they're up against their peers to find out who the new young stars, tomorrow's sim racing or real life stars, are going to be. So thank you, iRacing, for doing that. Yesterday I was saying, hey, where are those widescreens that Dakar kept talking about? Well, we were looking at some little, maybe a media room that they had set up, but out on the floor, this is the rig. Now, that guy's using a controller, which seems like a waste of a rig, to be honest with you. But there it is. There's that super wide monitor on their really cool rigs. That's a pretty good angle. Again, kind of funny seeing him sitting in a rig, purpose-built rig, and not a steering wheel on it. That's what we were looking at yesterday, more like that. Not sure what that's all about. That's part of the Dakar team. That's what that's all about. So anyway, that's going on at Gamescom. In addition to that, today at 5:30, they're going to be part of the Red Bull Gaming Club. So you can tune into that at Red Bull Gaming, I do believe, today at 5. If you want to see and hear more about Dakar. Actually, it should be pretty good because it's going to be something coming off of what everyone's seeing at Gamescom versus just the promotional stuff that we've been getting out of their website or Twitter feed. Arlene Mallet, one of the great drivers over there at the FA Racing Logitech team, Fernando Alonso Racing. You know, this just shows you the life of being a pro. So after 5 races the wheel in Forza Motorsport, he managed to win that Porsche GT3 RS Challenge. Remember, we had that. There it is. Right there. And get this, though. Such a shame that bad scheduling makes me miss the opportunity to drive a real Porsche on track. He's going to be busy in Mexico for the next round of the Forza RC Road Championship that weekend. So the life of the pro is he has to move on to his next competition. He doesn't get to hang out and take advantage of part of the prize that he won by winning that existing competition there at Gamescom. How come I am seeing more comments on the YouTube chat stream than I am in the chat I can type in? I don't know. I don't know. There's nothing holding the wheel. What wheel? There was no wheel. Tim. Don't forget, it's still up on their site, so I don't know when they close it, but they are giving away free codes to F1 2018. So all you have to do is follow them on Twitter, comment below with which Thrustmaster racing wheel you'd play it on, and you can pick up your dream setup. Ooh. Wow, it sounds like you could even win maybe a Thrustmaster wheel. You know, if you're strategic and you're like, yes, I would love to play it with a TGT. Maybe that means you win a code to the game and a TG. I don't know. Ooh, that sounds intriguing. Now that I've read that a second time, that could be more than we think. What else? Derek Spear has a little video up showing the configuration tool for that DSD Blue 32. Isn't that the Bluetooth or the wireless box? Anyway, if you're into that DIY stuff, building something on that Blue 32, he now has a video showing off the configuration tool. That's going to be good for the DIY guys out there. What else? Stoffel Van Dorn turning a virtual hot lap of Spa in Belgian Grand Prix. Been a while since we featured one of these, it seems, or it feels like, but it's always awesome when you get to see the pros using the sim, and I just love, it's like, look at how many F1 drivers they have been able to get to do these very competent. This isn't just, oh, haha, playing a game, but doing very competent track drives in the game. And I'm quite impressed at how these guys seem to be taking it somewhat seriously and embracing it instead of trying to like mock sim racing or act like it's just a game and who cares, I put it in the wall, it's nothing like real life. So that's cool. You'll find that at Formula One on YouTube. Really cool happy birthday. I saw this come up in our news feed today. This was sent in by Chris Bassett, and I liked it. I thought it was just a really cool little story. But Paul Smith, an iRacer, posted today, "It's that time again. I do this each year. My dad, Monty, has got to be the world's oldest sim racer. And at 91, today is his 91st birthday, he is still doing hosted races with iRacing. Happy birthday, Dad, and may you have many more and keep being able to race." So happy birthday, Monty Smith. And thank you, Paul, for posting that. And I think that gives me a lot of hope that in 41 years, maybe I'll still be sim racing. In 41 years, I'll still be here doing the pit stop. Hot hair. Okay, I'm gonna rattle through these. You know, it's NVidia time of year. It's that NVIDIA time of year. Hot hardware. NVIDIA's RTX 2070 GPU will not support NVLink SLI. So basically, if you want to run SLI, you're going to need to be in the 2080 or the 2080-10, if I'm not mistaken. But the lower cards are not going to support that. That's the being able to run dual cards linked together, which most people have been telling me that's sort of yesterday's technology, but it is still available on their high-end card. Tech Power Up, talking about the 2080 Ti, the ray tracing, that's what we were talking about, while playing Shadow of the Tomb Raider, was barely managing to get 30 to 60 frames per second at full HD. They're calling full HD 1920 by 1080. So that's not the best of news. But again, our game's optimized, and that's also trying to use this ray tracing, that additional shadowing and other effects that are there. So yeah, it even says here the studio's still optimizing it for the RTX. But that just shows you, before you go running out and buying brand new technology, you might want to let the software guys catch up with some game patches and some performance updates, some optimizations to use those new features, because it might actually not be a step up until that's the case. And, oh, we have two dads racing at 73. Oh, no, T-Bone's just gardens all day. Yeah, at 91, we'll let some things slide, won't we? Tom says he allow the racing line. John's dad has no idea what a computer is. T-Bone at 91. He'd be so far behind that he'd think he's in first place all the time. You guys crack me up. Baker, that's a great question. Are all those great ACC screenies that we've been seeing on that new RTX 2080 that they're using at Gamescom? PC World, another article on the RTX. GeForce RTX 2080 will be 1.5 times faster than GTX 1080 in traditional PC games, NVIDIA says. You know, at 1.7 times the cost, you can be 1.5 times faster. How do you like that math? What else we got? What else? This is at envisioncommunity.co.uk. Psyonix announces the progression update for Rocket League. So they're implementing a whole progression system into the game, club system, new achievements, new trophies, a bunch of things that really focus, sounds like, on the competition side of Rocket League more than on the gameplay side of things. So this is something that we have coming down the pipe for you Rocket League fans. Article here at DualShockers.com. So for you Forza nuts, Forza Horizon 4, the developers discuss online features and unveil new bundles. So if you want to know, when we say bundles, this is the game branded version of being able to buy a new Xbox One X, I'm assuming. Let's try to find a juicy picture here. Where's the box? No, they had it queued up. I shouldn't have hit play. We were looking at it. What if I hit refresh? There it is. So there they are showing off the new bundled version, Forza Horizon 4, along with the system itself. Everything minus a wheel to be doing it right. Wreckfest gets smashing new Demolition Derby footage. So this is at psu.com, and there is a cool video. And it's showing off. I'm just going to click through it a little bit. If you guys want to check it out, it's on YouTube. So here, we can go to the YouTube version. Pause that one, yes. And this is at Wreckfest Gamescom gameplay trailer on YouTube. And it's showing off, ooh, carnage. It's showing off some carnage. I haven't played Wreckfest in a little while. I could use a Wreckfest session. Yeah, I could definitely use a Wreckfest session about right now. We'll have to talk to that. Me and the crew are gonna have to talk about that for sure. Oh, look at that! I already pulled up the whole video. True Achievements has got the entire achievements list for F1 2018. It looks like there are 48. I think it was 48, 49. Where is the number? Where is the number? 49 total achievements with a total 1,000 game score. So you can get things like enter photo mode and get the smile achievement worth 30 points. Am I giving away too much? Am I giving away too much of the game? I'm taking away the fun by telling you. Stepping up. Achieve a podium finish in any game mode, 25 points. Win the Constructor Championship. There is no I in team, 50 points. What do we got here? Win the Drivers' Championship at USA or earlier. Streets Ahead Award, 30 points. You can find the full list at True Achievements. Full Throttle. You know, we talked about this yesterday, I think, but it was sent in again, so I just want to make sure I didn't miss it, because some of these F1 2018, with tomorrow being the big day, that's why I don't mind. You know, come tomorrow, we're not going to have to do any more of this. We'll be covering, hopefully, more of the competitive and gameplay side of things, more than the build-up and anticipation to the sim coming out. But Full Throttle, talking about the new Super License multiplayer stuff, which we've talked about a little bit, but the ladder system, essentially, that's going to rank people to some degree, and perhaps award points based on skill, and maybe have some matchmaking. I don't know. I haven't read the whole article, but want you guys to know about it. Race department also talking about the multiplayer license explained, because there's, I guess, you know, a lot of people are still questioning, well, what does that mean? What do you mean, license system? Does that mean I can't just play anything all the time? Alright, sorry about that. Ryan Lusa wins at Texas. And the reason I'm bringing this up, because, you know, of course, every week we have another NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Racing Series at iRacing. But the last race was the end of the regular season, and now we're into the playoffs, or, you know, the championship playoffs, which, just like real life NASCAR, they emulate that by, you know, only certain people are eligible down the final stretch of the race. But the final 8 battling for the championship. This is the big championship in NASCAR, and hands down, this is the biggest NASCAR championship on earth. So you know, you can say what you want about levels of esport, whatever. As far as oval racing goes, and I know a lot of you guys are from Europe and you're not big NASCAR fans, but, you know, you think back in time, NASCAR 2003 was one of the most successful and greatest sims ever built, hands down, and it was primarily based on oval racing. Oval makes a great platform for multiplayer racing. You know, like it or hate it, it makes a great platform for multiplayer racing. Anyway, going into the championship, and to keep it in perspective, the guy who wins the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Championship on iRacing, he gets 10 grand. He gets a real NASCAR Champions ring. We've seen those. We saw Ray Alfala's on the show. It's a beauty. It's from Jostin. It's just like the one the real NASCAR champ gets. And you get a NASCAR trophy. And you get acknowledged by NASCAR. You walk the stage at Homestead in front of the entire crowd, and you are awarded a championship just like the other drivers. I mean, to me, that's a really big deal. To me, that is a sacred opportunity. So the 8 guys eligible to win the championship after the playoffs are Ryan Lusa, who just won his way in, Kagan Leahy, Ray Alfalla, Bobby Zielinski, Nick Ottinger, Nicholas Shelton, and Michael Conti and Matt Busa. And you look at that list, and Ryan Lusa was the 2017 champion. Ray Alfalla is a 3-time champion, and Michael Conti was the 2014 champion. So it should make for some very entertaining racing. If you haven't tuned into that, you might want to check out iRacing.com live in order to watch what's going to come down to a very important championship. So that's Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. on iRacing.com live. Speaking of things to watch, I mentioned, and apparently it was a really good race because a couple of people said, man, that was a great race that you told us about. But the Lionheart Racing Series, their IndyCar Series, the race at Sonoma, 50 laps, was apparently a really, really fun race. It was on that GSRC, part of the whole iRacing esport entertainment thing that they got going on there. So you might want to check that out on YouTube. Article here, I thought it was kind of funny. Max Verstappen let's run sim drivers with the F1 simulator. And it actually made me laugh. I read the article from drivingitalia.net. I'm on the Google Translate here. But basically, Max Verstappen is talking about guys like Rudy Van Buren. He's basically like, hey, you know, there's some really, really talented sim racers. And we should be putting those guys in the sims instead of us. And it was sort of funny because it was like, they're fine. I'm reading it and I'm laughing. I'm like, what is driving an F1 sim just beneath those drivers as far as what the teams want them to do with it? So anyway, their final line in the article was, maybe our Max just wants to avoid the hours and hours of work at the F1 simulator, finding someone to do it in his place. A little sarcasm on the article. But it's funny, as I read the article, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, man, if I'm Max Verstappen, yeah, it's one thing to go home and sim race when it's just totally dead time. But man, I could be on a yacht in Monaco right now. Why would I want to be in the sim sitting at the shop when I have a race this weekend? Anyway, I thought that was a funny article and worth mentioning to you guys. MarketWatch.com. Talking about Henrik Christian Drew amongst finalists in Millennial Esports competition to drive an F1 car. So that whole Gear Club game, we mentioned this when they first launched it way back when. And it was like, wow, they are using like the gamiest of games. I wish I had an image of something to be able to show you gear.club. But whoever wins this thing is literally going to get to drive a real Williams F1 race car. I wonder how detuned. I wonder what motor setting that thing will be set on. Yeah, a real F1 race car. It is a real car. And the motor's turned up to 10%. Anyway, but I guess Henrik Christian Drew is amongst the finalists to get there. And that's a pretty good prize in sim racing, I gotta say. I'd like to drive I said that early in the show. I would like to drive a real F1 car. There's a big shock. McLaren Shadow Project and EA reveal Real Racing 3 qualification details. So again, if you think of that McLaren Shadow Project, it wasn't going to be just any one sim. Just like the last one that Rudy won, it was going to be a guy from a bunch of different sims and then put them all together for one last shootout, which is kind of a cool concept. I mean, when we compare that to this, where you're just using a gamey game to win such a cool prize, here you're talking about, sure, maybe you can get in on one of the gamier sims, Real Racing 3, but you're still going to have to show yourself against the guy who won on iRacing and R Factor and all the other disciplines that they're allowing into the competition. No, thank you. I don't need updates from you. Lenovo Legion brand is going to power that MotoGP esports. We talked about round 1 just finishing up, round 2 on the way. But now they have a big sponsor in Lenovo. That comes to us from Esport Observer. And that should be good for all those competitors and coverage. Also jumping up into the game, Nürburgring joins Esport with an endurance event. So this is coming up May 11th at the Ring Arena of the Nürburgring. And this is going to be a whole esport thing going on through them as well. Right now, the invite list does include a few teams. So, Fields iRacing apparently has an invite with those 3 drivers. FA Racing, Logitech with those 3 drivers. And it's interesting that we see Danny Engels as a driver. My understanding was that he was a team manager, but apparently he's back in the seat again. And Churi Esports with these 3 drivers. That's only 9. It's going to take more than that to field a grid, so we'll have to stay with them. This comes to us from Momento GP, and I'm on Google Translate, so I don't know the actual .com, but that is cool news of yet another big competition. Germany might be the place to be for sim racing. I got to tell you, Germany has it going on. You know, I mentioned this Armstrong guy who won that Hyundai in the WRC esport competition. And as much as we've mentioned his name and talked about what he won, one thing that was picked up in this article at automobilesport.com is that, okay, Armstrong's success came just 12 months after being inspired to try WRC7, the official game of the FIA World Championship, after watching live coverage of the 2017 esport finale. This guy has some experience in real WRC from what I understand, and 12 months ago he bought the game, and 12 months later he won the esport championship in a Hyundai. That is a pretty impressive timeline, and if that's not motivation to anybody who sim races, that if you really buckle down and hone your skills, you got it in you. Anyone can do it. It's just effort, drive, application, maybe some minor coaching or help from others, but it can be done. He did it. 12 months. What else we got? Trusted reviews, talking about Ford unveiling that new Raptor truck. Now, I already mentioned this several times, but look at that sim. They got the baby chair, I call this one. That's a much, much evolved version of the baby chair, but that's a pretty aggressive full motion sim. And that's a good way. If you're going to drive a Ford Raptor in Forza, I think that would be a good way to do it. So that also means that if you're at Gamescom, you'll be able to drive that simulator, which could be pretty cool. Couple of pictures. Gamescom! Anyway, there's some pictures of cool stuff. I almost swore there. Excuse me. It wasn't the headphones and keyboards, but I thought some of the computer builds were pretty cool. Ultra-wide monitor. So Gamescom's become quite the show. It seems to me, and in this article, they kind of even talked about E3 being like the consoles show, and that Gamescom has become the PC show. And from these images, I can see why they'd make such a statement. There's a set of course, a Competizione running on a 2080. Battlefield. Look at that. Rows and rows and rows of people playing Battlefield. Open computer. Computer in a tomb. Computer in an airplane. I don't know what that is. Oh, those are those super weird cool mice. That's not a computer. There's some sim racing going on. Anyway, you can see it's quite a show, Gamescom, and worth going to. I would like to go to Gamescom. I'd like them to do a Gamescom type show here that would at least entertain me, whereas I have to admit that E3 has lost its luster to me. I would go to this one at least one time. So, all right, what else? Last story I have, and then we're going to bring this show to a close. Look at that, we're at 30 minutes. Gamescom. Renee Kirchhoff. We know Renee. We've raced with Renee of Avid Chronic Racing, and I can't remember what team drafted him, but he was drafted into the F1 deal as well. Anyway, he went to Gamescom and ran in the Raceroom Hot Lap Challenge, and sure enough, there he is, #1 on the board. And look at who's #3, by the way. Danny Engels, the manager of the team, is somehow making dual appearances in the leaderboard. He's both 3rd and 10th place. Patrick Jarzinski, another avid chronic racer, is there. But anyway, Renee did win the whole thing. And with that, he gets to take home a TSXW racer. exact wheel I have sitting right here right now. So congratulations to Renee, Avid Chronic, and all those guys. Really cool. There's a picture of him up on stage with Mark Velt and Patrick. So I've raced with Patrick as well. We fielded an endurance team together. So anyway, that's going to do it for today's show. As you can see or hear, there was a lot going on in sim racing. I'm fascinated that every day we have so much to talk about. I love your guys' input. It always makes the show that much better, and that's why you really are the star of the show when we're doing the pit stops. That's going to do it for today. I'll see you tomorrow. This is the Sim Pit. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track.